The game last year against Arizona is a little bit of Frank's coming out party on the national stage. I mean, he had done a lot to that point, but
yeah, and obviously he played pretty well. 26 or 28.
28.
Yeah,
28,
that was. He obviously played really well, and that's where we expect good players to step up on stages like that. So it was obviously nice to see, and we'll probably need that along with a lot of other help from everybody else tomorrow night.
Has he rushed things a little bit at times this postseason? Or this tournament?
I think at times he hasn't maybe played on balance, played off 2 feet. So I think that's one of the things. He's been better within the games of adjusting at times, and sometimes it's also how he's getting played. If they're sending another guy towards him on the dribble, they're sending another guy when he goes to counter and spin. So he's had defenses come at him at different times, and I think everybody's had a different philosophy of how to try to contain him somewhat. So I think that's the biggest thing, is just trying to adjust to, okay, how am I going to be played today, and how do I adjust to that, whether they're going to double him or play him straight up or send extra help on a dribble, and that's always an adjustment thing to try to feel out early.
I think I asked you last night about this team finding a second gear, and nobody really epitomizes that more than him, right? I mean, in the second half of games, when you've really needed him, these last couple games, he's found
stepped
a way.
up, and that's what you'd expect, player of the year type candidates to do that when the game's on the line. And we've had other guys do it too. In the Big Ten tournament, we had different guys step up. So that's a sign of a really, really good team, when you don't have to depend on just one guy, and you can spread it around a little bit, as we had to do. And you're going to have to, because to try to depend on one guy every night, defensively they're going to get approached differently. They're going to have a night where they don't shoot it well or don't play well. So to be able to have help from different areas is always a great thing to have.
I went back this morning and watched that game from last year, the Arizona game, and kind of struck me on how tense the second half was, and how every possession was like,
that's a
grind. And
you have two very good defensive-oriented teams. Obviously, two really well-coached teams, and Sean's done a great job with that program. And you have two teams that have a lot of talent on them. You start with there. We both have really good players. I think both philosophies are very similar defensively, in terms of trying to make things as difficult as possible to get easy baskets. And obviously, Sean has that Midwestern type of background anyway, in terms of toughness and blue collar, and just how he played and where he's coached at. So I think he brought that and instilled that into their program, and that's helped them. And I think that's why they've had so much success in that league, is that they're defensively and physically, those two things really jump out at you in that league. They stand above everybody else.
Do you remember that replay at the end?
Taken forever.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, man, how agonizing was it? You're right there in the cusp of the Final Four. And
I mean, you knew the longer it took, probably, that it wasn't going to go our way. They were just looking for a reason to make sure they could justify it. Exactly. So I think, having been in numerous situations where you just there's some things you're not in control of. You have to plan for the best and prepare, and then here's what we're going to do if this happens, and here's what we're going to do if that happens. So I think Coach did a really good job of using that extended timeout to say, okay, they're likely going to have the ball. Here's how we have to guard it.